Hello everyone and welcome back to another IELTS speaking lesson. Today we're going to look at pronunciation for IELTS speaking. Here are your lesson notes. By the end of the lesson you will understand what the phonetic alphabet is and how it is used. We're going to quickly go over stress and contractions and understand how they are used in English. But before we move on to those parts of the lesson, let's review the pronunciation band descriptors. Now, I think it's fair to say that many students are very worried about their pronunciation in English. I do believe that there is no correct accent to use in the IELTS speaking test, and it is true you are not marked on any particular accent. The most important thing to remember is that you are speaking clearly and there are no difficulties in understanding what you are saying. The clarity of your pronunciation is without a doubt the most important thing in your IELTS speaking test. Sentence stress and pronunciation of vocabulary are super important, and it's something that you need to work on if you identify it as a problem for you. And that brings me nicely onto my next point, which is identifying weaknesses. Think about which types of sound that you find most difficult to pronounce. These are the areas where you need to spend time practicing your vocabulary pronunciation. Now I'm going to show you some examples of common pronunciation errors for non-native English speakers. And I don't mean to pick on any particular country, but I want to show you some common examples that I often see from students that I teach. Korean English speakers often struggle with the F sound and replace it with the P sound. Now that's because in their native language they don't have this F sound. So I would advise Korean English speakers to work particularly on that sound. Spanish speakers often extend the short I and make it into an E. A word like knit may become neat. Now these are just common examples of errors that I see in the classroom, and I hope I haven't offended anyone showing you them. But it does go to show that if you really consider what areas you find difficult, then it's easier to understand where you need to improve. I'm now going to show you a resource which should help you learn how to speak standard English, and it is called the phonetic alphabet. I'm aware that some of you may already use this resource, and if you are, that's brilliant, but if you are currently not aware of it, it's definitely something that you can use to help study for pronunciation. So the International Phonetic Alphabet shows pronunciation for standard English, and it is widely used by teachers and students across the world. It was actually created over 120 years ago, jointly by the British and the French, to help with pronunciation for French English speakers. It's something that I believe you should definitely learn and use when learning pronunciation of words. It's commonly seen in book dictionaries or online dictionaries too. The top section is the vowel sounds and the bottom sections are our consonant sounds. For a quick example, let's look at the first box, which is C. This vowel sound is E, or you can also call it the long E sound. The next box is the short E sound, which is I, or sit. As I showed you in the example before, Spanish speakers often mix these two vowel sounds around. And if you're aware that that's something that you do often, the phonetic alphabet will definitely help you. So let's move on to sentence stress. The words that you stress in a sentence can actually change the meaning of what you are saying. Take a look at these examples with questions and answers. Who is playing the guitar?
David is playing the guitar at school.
So here, as the question was who, I make David the stressed word in the sentence, as that is the most important word for answering the question. Let's take a look at another example. Where is David playing guitar? And here I would change the stress to the location. David is playing the guitar at school. You can hear that I emphasize the key words when answering these questions, but sentence stress doesn't have to be just for questions and answers. I guarantee this course will help you improve your IELTS score. In this example, I want to emphasize that I guarantee the course will help improve your IELTS score. Now let's take a look at a feature of English pronunciation that is often used by native speakers, and that is contractions. Contraction is something that is made shorter or smaller. In English, we sometimes miss sounds from words, and that's because it makes it faster and easier to say. So here is an example. Black cat has two common consonant sounds with the k at the end of black and k at the start of cat. It would be difficult to fully pronounce all the sounds in these words, black cat. So instead, we take away one of the common sounds. Here I've shown you from the end of black. It turns into black cat. Notice that I didn't include the k sound for black. Let's take a look at an example sentence. I was really very worried. My black cat, Sarah, had been missing for 2 whole weeks. So there you can see that common k sound is only sounded out once. Let's take a look at another example. Here we have good day, which is pretty much the same sound, the d sound. And instead, we'll only say it once, which is good day. Let's take a look at an example sentence. My friend's wedding was quite special. That was a very good day. Try and look out for where words share common sounds at the end and start of the words. Going back to the phonetic alphabet, I just want to stress that this could be an excellent resource for you in improving your pronunciation. So I highly recommend spending time learning this chart. That brings us to the end of our lesson on pronunciation for IELTS speaking. Practice speaking English as much as you can, and I'm sure your pronunciation will improve.